Hey, everybody. Good morning. This is Alicia Katz-Pollock coming at you from royalwise.com in our classroom. And I would like to welcome you to our Chart of Accounts class. I'm really excited to teach this class today because it's actually been a couple years since I've taught it. Intuit recently revamped the interface and how it works. And so I wanted to show you what's new. So what is a chart of accounts or a COA? I will not call it a COA when I'm talking to you, but when I'm writing, I frequently will abbreviate it as a COA because chart of accounts, chart of accounts, chart of accounts is a lot to write. Why is your chart of accounts important? Your chart of accounts is the backbone and the foundation of your company file. It's one of the first things that you have to dial in when you are starting a new QuickBooks account because it's the list of all of your income and your expenses and your resources and your debts and everything that you need in order to have a comprehensive understanding of what's actually happening in your company. And there's two reasons for that. One, the fundamental one that people think about is taxes. That's how your accountant knows what you're doing with your money so that they can report it to the IRS so that you can pay the right amount of taxes. But it's also really important for business management that you need to understand where your money is coming from and where your money is going and where your money is being held up for you to be able to make good business decisions. So the chart of accounts is also the source of your two fundamental business reports, your profit and loss report and your balance sheet. Your balance sheet are basically the top part of your chart of accounts, and your profit and loss report is the bottom part of your chart of accounts. And so whatever you want to see on those reports is what you put into the chart of accounts itself. So however you want the categories to look and what order you want them to be in, and what you want them to be called and what you do want to track and what you don't want to track. That's what you want to see on those reports. And so that's what you put into your chart of accounts. And so I always kind of start at the end. When I'm setting up a new QuickBooks file for a company, I will ask them, what do they need to see on these reports? And then that's how we build out the chart of accounts. And the chart of accounts is also your bucket for your products and services. So your products and services are the things that show up on your invoices and your sales receipts. And if you choose, you can also have them show up on your expenses so that you can buy the products and services that you sell. And one of the mistakes that people make, and I'll go into this in detail, is you don't want to put all of that information on your chart of accounts. You only want your chart of accounts to be the big buckets. And then you can make lots and lots of products and services that all dump into those buckets. When you are getting ready to start working with your chart of accounts, the first thing that you need to do is look at your chart of accounts settings. That the chart of accounts has settings itself. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to go live into a file in a minute. And so we're going to go up to the gear and then into the settings to set them up. And the things that we're going to look at are your account numbers and also your target accounts where you put in some specialized information. Now, this is where I'm going to start diving into the live file. And if you find like, oh God, I don't even know like where the gear is. I have another course called my bootcamp course where I go into all the basics of using QuickBooks Online. And so you can either take a screenshot of that little QR code right there, or you can come back to the links and get that URL a little bit later on. So let's go ahead live into the file. And where I am right now is I'm in QuickBooks Online. And what I did is I went to the sample company. And for those of you who don't know about the sample company, if you log into, I'm going to go ahead and put this web address and kind of start it over again. But if you go to qbo.intuit.com/reader, as in redirect, /test drive, like that, it takes you to, first of all, ask if you are a robot or not. And then it will take you into a sample file called Craig's Design and Landscaping. And so this is where I go to test things out, try things out. This is a sandbox that always starts completely fresh every time you go into it. And so it's this nice pristine environment. So instead of experimenting on real QuickBooks files, you can try things out here. like I said, the first place that we need to go is into the chart of accounts settings. So I'm going to head up to the gear in the upper right-hand corner, and this is where all of the settings and back end of your QuickBooks lies. And we're going to just start at the beginning with the account and settings right here. And then we have to take a deep breath when you click that button, because sometimes it takes a while for all of the different tabs here to load. And then we're going to head down to the advanced tab down here at the bottom. And then I have all kinds of stuff about setting up the file, but the area where we're particularly interested in right now is this chart of accounts section right here. You could click on the pencil on the right-hand side, but the truth is that all you have to do is just click on it and boop, it opens right up. So here you have some options. The first one is enable account numbers, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that little help thing right there. Know that all of these little question marks give you help over on the right-hand side. And so there's further explanations that you can always read. So enabling the account numbers, and then I would click show account numbers. What showing the account numbers does is it creates a numbering system for your chart of accounts. And it's kind of like the Dewey Decimal System from your library, but for your chart of accounts. And it has a few different purposes. One is that there's a traditional numbering system in accounting where all the 1,000 numbers are your assets, like your bank accounts, and all your 4,000, make sure I'm getting the right ones on here. It's been so long since I've even seen the account numbers. Your 5,000 numbers are all your cost of goods, and your 4,000 are all of your fixed assets. And so you can use a numbering system. What the numbering system allows you to do is, some people think better in numbers than in words. That's one reason for using it. If you have multiple company files, it might be helpful to always have the main operating checking account being account 1,000. And especially if you're a bookkeeper working with lots and lots of different clients, this allows you to create a consistency between all of your files. So you always know that the operating checking is 1,000 and your prepaid expenses is always the same number. And so that way you don't have to think about what it's called in each individual file. You can just start typing in the number for the thing you know you need, and then that speeds you up. Enabling your account numbers also allows you to rearrange the chart of accounts. That in QuickBooks Online, it does everything alphabetically. So all of the accounts are alphabetical. With it, well, it first groups it by type, like all the bank accounts or all your credit cards or all your liabilities. And then within that type, it lists them alphabetically. But if you wanted, for instance, your most used on top, but it starts with the letter T, it would be at the bottom. And so by using the numbering system, you can then rearrange the list in the order that you want it to appear. So that's the other really big reason for using the account numbers. Now, I'm not going to use the account numbers today. We're just going to be talking about these in terms of the languaging that we're going to use. So I'm going to keep that off. Then the next thing that it shows is the discount account. And so if your client, or if you give discounts, you always want to break out your discounts and not just reduce the amount of revenue that you made. And so there's you usually want to have a discounts given income category, which actually is a negative. So you're subtracting the discounts from the revenue. It's what they call a contra account. And that usually comes built into your QuickBooks Online, but if you have to add it, that's what you would do. There's also a tips account if you have tips turned on, or if the company takes tips, and then you would set up a tips account. And then billable expense income is if you are incurring expenses on behalf of your clients, but you don't want to, when they reimburse you, you don't want to count that as income because you didn't get the money from your services or your products. You got it from them paying you back for something. And so you can set up a separate billable expense income account to separate out the reimbursements from the regular revenue. So you have this opportunity to do this mapping.